Hello.
Welcome to this Unitarian Universalist Church, which includes our congregations in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa and all our folks online. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are today and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. To all those who are here this morning, welcome home. We appreciate your attention to this morning's announcements. You'll find announcements in our order of service or on the slides for those of you at home. If you require accommodations during our service this morning, our ushers are available to assist. Please fill out your connection card and notice the opportunities at the bottom. Folks online, your connection card is in the link in the description or in the chat. We appreciate everyone filling out the connection card. Please stick around after the service for our congregational meeting. We are voting on our slate of officers, our budget for 2023-2024, and our 2 social justice issues. Next Sunday is Pride Sunday, and we will be having a glitter blessing, so I hope to see you all there. I'd like to bring up Grant for a special announcement.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Woo! So this year, again, we're going to be participating in the Pride Parade on Saturday at 8 p.m. is the step-off. We'll need a small crew here at 5 p.m. to load up the float in the Lakeview District, 5:30 or 6, put the float together, and then go have a glitter fabulous time. And then another crew back at the church afterwards to put stuff up. So see me or see the LGBTQ group for details on that. And then Sunday, all day, down at Lynn Park is Pride Fest. The church is going to have a 10x10 booth there, and we need people to sign up for various slots to talk to people about what UU does and just hang out and have a great time. So see me about that as well. Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome Ned Freeman from the Greater Birmingham Ministries for another special announcement.
Hey, I was trying to write some notes about what to say about Greater Birmingham Ministries because we have a really hard time giving our elevator pitch because we're involved in so many things and with so many people. And your congregation is one of our best supporters, so it's a real privilege to be here. I know I am preaching to the choir, literally and figuratively. But let me just give you guys a little history. GBM was formed in 1969 in the aftermath of the assassination of Martin Luther King the year earlier. And the faith leaders of Birmingham were concerned about where do we go from here. Birmingham was, in disarray. A lot of important things had happened here, but the city was undergoing a real identity crisis. And what happened here was led by faith leaders, led by the churches, led by ministers. So it was formed without really knowing exactly where things would go, but they said, we want to serve the community and see where it goes. It started just first with the Methodists, and then some other Christian congregations or denominations joined. Eventually, Unitarians, Jewish, Muslim communities, Quakers. We bridge the gamut between all theological perspectives. We have Catholics, Baptists, everybody. And there's a lot that can divide people, especially in Alabama, but there's a lot that brings us together. And what we've been able to do is actually be on that cutting edge of maintaining unity while also pushing the limits of what we can hope for a better Alabama. We believe we can end poverty in Alabama. We believe that we can affirm everybody in Alabama. We believe in the words that you guys are all familiar with, intersectionality, all that kind of stuff. Happy Pride Month. One example, the legislation we've seen come out of our legislature and other legislatures in other states that is designed to target specific communities. We at GBM recognize that when one community is targeted, that's designed to intimidate all of us, to intimidate everybody, including the people who think they support that kind of legislation. It's designed to tell people there's a certain way to be. But GBM, we've been part of the coalition of going to the Capitol and having our legislators meet face-to-face with people who would be directly affected by what they were trying to push. And I think we were able to soften a little bit of it. But the thing about in Alabama is we have to take our victories where we can. We play the long game. So sometimes that means we have to be on defense. Sometimes it means we have to let me give you an example. We were very involved in the push for a union at the Amazon plant in Bessemer. And while the top line is that didn't happen here, there was a vote to unionize in Brooklyn, New York, where the organizers there said they were specifically inspired to try that because of what they saw happening in Alabama. They wouldn't have even tried to organize there. So everything we do at GBM, first it starts from the bottom up. We do direct services, we provide food, clothing, we help people register to vote, and we listen for people's stories. And that informs the work that we do for social change in Alabama. Whether it's people saying, hey, yeah, I have a job, but I can't keep it because the bus service is bad in Birmingham. Well, we organized a coalition, the bus riders, to push your local municipalities to stop trying to cut funding for MAGs. That's one example. We've been involved with voting rights since long before voting rights was being discussed as much as it is now. And that's really, we believe that the work we do today has to be informed by the history of Alabama, everything that Alabama has been through, everything Birmingham has been through. We're trying to bridge Birmingham's history with Birmingham's future, and by being very centered in Birmingham's present day reality, the realities on the ground. It's great to feed people, it's great to help people get a leg up, but you have to work also on changing the systems out there. So I have been hard pressed to find another organization like GBM in any other city. There are interfaith organizations, there are plenty of direct service organizations, and there are a lot of social justice organizations. And by the way, in Birmingham, we've spun off all those kinds of organizations too and sponsor that. But there's nothing that I've seen that holistically brings together all these different communities to work from the bottom up to make change in a real way. In a place like Alabama, that's a tough place to make change. But we have had tremendous success when you look at playing the long game. And that's what we've been doing for 53 years. One other quick example. You know, we helped form Alabama Arise, that's one of the organizations, has been to reduce the sales tax on groceries in Alabama. You know, that's something that the legislature has pushed hard against for years. Well, we didn't get everything we wanted this time, but all 35 senators in the Alabama Senate not only voted for it, they co-sponsored it. So you never know who your allies are going to be when you keep believing that there is good in everybody, and we never give up. I wouldn't want to be anywhere other than Alabama. Let me just say one more thing about the choir I'm preaching to here. Since we are an organization rooted in the history of Alabama, I deeply appreciate that y'all understand this state's history. When you go down to the Selma to Montgomery March commemoration, you will always see Unitarians from across the country who come here to be part of that. You know, James Reed was the minister, the Unitarian minister, who was one of the martyrs down there. And I know that y'all, with your storied history, the Unitarians and the Universalists coming together and believing in the oneness of all of us and affirming all of us, y'all's congregation, your diverse theology is centered on what GBM believes in, elevating the community while elevating every single individual. What we do in Alabama matters. What you guys do matters. And GBM is so honored to have you guys as one of our most important partners. We have lost some supporters over the years by standing up for the things that matter, but we have gained by getting stronger support from folks like you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Ned. The prelude prepares us for worship.
This piece is by poet Christina Rossetti. She was born in central London in 1830. Her mother, a British educator and devout Anglican, and her father, a nobleman, poet, scholar, and Italian political revolutionary. He was also a Christian freethinker and esoteric. Christina, along with her siblings, were distinguished writers and artists. In fact, it was her brother Dante who, along with a number of associates, created the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood as part of the Romantic movement, an artistic movement that idealized emotion and individualism, nature and paganism, and glorified the Middle Ages in a stark reaction against the Industrial Revolution. Christina was a published writer and poet associated with the PRB, and she too explored these creative themes. In Victorian England, flowers held coded, secret meanings, symbolic meanings. Several of her poems, like this one, contrast the qualities of lilies and roses as metaphors for purity of heart, beauty, desire, the wild feminine divine. And just 5 years ago, the Norwegian composer Ola Gjeilo set her poetry to music in an equally flowing and mysterious soundscape of sensuality and power. And the lyrics are, "The lily has a smooth stalk, will never hurt your hand, but the rose upon her briar is lady of the land. There's sweetness in an apple tree and profit in the corn, but the lady of all beauty is a rose upon the thorn. With her moss and honey, she tips her bending briar, and half unfolds her glowing heart. She sets the world on fire."
Now words for the lighting of the chalice. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history heal your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart. If you would please hold your applause, if you're so inclined, till the end. And also, would you please take a moment to greet those around you, especially those that you do not know? Thanks.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. It's like you did your homework. Thanks for being here. Good? I needed to get something. I can't remember what it was. No. Oh, a hymnal. Good morning. Good to see you. How are you? Good, thanks. Good. Yeah, yeah. You know. Are you sticking around, or what are you thinking?
Not sure.
Yeah, yeah. Understandably, there's a lot up in the air, so. Yeah. We're gonna start auditioning new choir directors very soon, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely need help, so. Yeah, this way. Good morning, Lee. Good to see you. Good morning. Glad you're here. Yes. Hi. Good morning, Catalina. Did you see Ezio? Oh, yes. Go. Go. Oh my God. Oh my God. I need one of these. Are we out of hymnals? I guess we are. Okay. Sounds good so far. Yeah. How's it sound in there?
Forrest says he's heard the improvement, so.
Good. Good. What are you trying to tell me? Yeah, I smell. I don't know. Good morning. Good, how are you? Nice to see you. How are you today? What? Oh, are you the one who moved here from Florida? Yes! Well, so nice to put a face to a name. We've been talking about you and waiting for your arrival, and so excited. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good, how are you? Good morning, John. Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hello. Okay. I am getting a hymnal. Oops.
We are so glad that everybody is enjoying getting to say hello to everybody, but if you could please
How it is.
take your seats.
Today's opening words are from an American author, Henry Van Dyke. Use whatever talents you possess. The woods would be very silent if no birds sang there, except those that sang the best. I chose these opening words because it just reminds me of suddenly just getting courage to sing when I was afraid of it. It basically boils down to just do it.
Our opening hymn is in the gray hymnal, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Because it is also our congregation's one of our biggest attendances of the year, although this is, pretty good. It's also the congregational meeting, and so I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce some new leaders to you. Now, when I arrived here in 2018, we were just moving into policy governance, and so we've tried really hard to allocate to the board's responsibilities without everything of the church. That's very overwhelming, and even with just their responsibilities, their meetings are about 3 hours every month, okay? So we tried to, really focus the board on what they should be doing in a healthy nonprofit structure, which is the liability, the policies, the budget, and the oversight of the business aspect of the church, the building and all those things. But in that process of disentangling all that, we realized we desperately needed some other lay ministry leaders, some people who supported the ministry of the church and all of the committees and all of the activities that go on in the church. So for the past 9 months, these folks, as well as some others, have been doing some very special training to learn very intimately about all the different details of the ministries of the church. And we've also had some other folks attend our meetings, but maybe, for various reasons couldn't commit at this time. So I just want to ask, if you attended one of the Beacon training meetings and are not standing up here, would you please rise so that we can acknowledge you as well? Yes, there are several of you out here. So these folks are going to be assigned to a different ministry cluster within the church. They're going to be meeting with Courtney and I on a monthly basis to talk about the ministry pieces. These folks are not taking over the board. They are not doing the board's job at all, right? They don't want to. They want to help with the ministries of the church. So Wanzetta is going to be helping us in the spiritual arts, okay? And you're not in order. Farah is going to be helping with lifelong learning, children, youth, and adult. Kylie is our justice beacon. Helen and Dee are going to be helping with membership and all those aspects of membership. John and Pam are going to be helping with stewardship of resources and people and the ministry aspect of that, not the board aspect of that, if that makes sense. And then Patty and Bill are going to help us with our connections and our publicity and helping announce all of those things. So they're very aware of their responsibilities at this point. I had some really cool sashes ordered that did not get here by this morning, but I will be awarding them their sashes at some point so you all can remember who they are, and I'll be talking more about this program later. But I just wanted you to know of this really important responsibility that they are taking on to help the life of our church And so, I would ask you, Beacons, as you think about your commitment over the next year or two, are you committed to helping to strengthen the ministries of this church in all the ways you know how? Yes. Wonderful. And church, are you committed to learning about what this process is about and to helping understand that this is going to help expand and strengthen our ministries together? Wonderful. Well, we will be talking more about that later, but we appreciate the time to introduce these folks to you, and thank you all so much. We are so appreciative.
Now is that time in our community when we share what we carry with us on this day, joy or sorrow. For those of you online, please share yours in your online chat, and remember to hold others by placing parentheses around their name. For those of you in person today, you are now invited to come forward and drop a stone in honor or memory of what is in your heart today. Please come forward. We also drop stones for all those unspoken joys and concerns. May we keep one another in our hearts and minds in the spirit of community and love.
Our next piece this morning is also with music by Ola Hielo. It is Ubi Caritas, and it not only features, of course, our wonderful choir, but it also highlights Chip again with a beautiful piano improvisation throughout. I wanted to share the lyrics with you in English, which is where charity and love are, God is there. The love of Christ has gathered us together. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let us revere and love the living God, and from a sincere heart, let us love one another. So I hope you will feel the sincerity in our hearts through this piece and feel the love that we have for our community, for our music community, for our beloved Chip and Jim, and for our beloved UU community here.
morning. I'm going to move this back, but I will put it back, I promise. But I just need to make room for my friends who I'm going to invite to come forward. If anyone of the youngish variety would like to come forward for a story. Well, sort of a story. Kind of a story. We're going to talk about some stuff. Come on up. The really exciting thing is the choir is going to help me today. I have a backup choir. Hi, friends. How are we doing today? Oh, you got a Band-Aid? That's good. Band-Aids are helpful. Oh, my goodness. So, since today is a celebration of music, I was wondering, do any of you know a song that we sing every single week at church? No? None of you? No? Hey, Pax, do you know a song that we sing every week at church? Yeah. Oh, what do you don't? And wins the prize. So we sing a song for when we all go downstairs, and everybody gets together and we sing it. Do we know what that song's about? You forgot? See, I had a feeling this might be the case. Hey, grown-ups, do you guys know what that song's about? Good. That makes me feel good. So, well, we're going to talk about it. So, that song is about our 7 principles. Pretty cool, huh? And the fun thing is all of you who have an order of service have a handy-dandy little pretty colorful flyer in there that has the words to our handy-dandy song on one side, and then on the other side, there's a version of the principles written in a slightly less academic form. I like this one better because it's easier for me to remember. But these are the children's versions of the principles. But the good news is I made one just for all you guys too. So hold on. Pause. So we have the principles and we sing them every week. Do we know anywhere else in the sanctuary where our principles might be located? I might have to lean to the grown-ups for this one. Grown-ups, do you know where else you can find the principles in the sanctuary? They're in the order of service, right? I'm going to give you a hint. They're also in the hymnal. So if you look in the hymnal, let me see, find it here. Boop. Oh, wait, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, no, there they are. I was like, did they move them? They're also in the hymnal. They also have our sources as well. But I thought we would talk about the different parts of them. So the first one is one, each person is worthwhile. You guys know that part? What do you guys know what that one means? Man, you all are just like looking at me like I'm speaking a foreign language today. All right, so one, each person is worthwhile. What's the second one? 2, be kind in all you do. What's the third one? 3, we help each other learn. What about 4? We search for what is true. Look at this lovely choir. And what's the 5th one? All people get a vote. Hey, we're going to be voting today later, folks, just so you know. Stick around for that. Number 6. 6, build a just and peaceful world. Thank you, Trey. And then 7, which is a lot of people's very favorite. It's Heather's favorite. 7, we take care of the earth. And then, that will bring us back to me and you. 2. So, just so you guys know, those are our 7 principles, and we sing those every week. And the choir is going to sing them for us today, too, as is everyone else, as we head downstairs. Cool? Ready? Awesome.
today is Sisini Moja by composer Jacob Naverud. It's a song about diversity of a group of people, all of us basically, and we share many things. And basically, it boils down to Sisini Moja at the end, which translates, it's Swahili, but it translates in English to "We are one."
So I get the pleasure of sort of interviewing James Sullivan. So you know, to us, he is our music director, our choir director, but he has a day job. Okay. So, Jim, you are the principal oboist of the Alabama Symphony Orchestra, which is a big deal. Okay. Yet you have also been devoted to our choir. Can you tell us where choral music fits into your journey as a musician?
I can. This was being able to do this job for 10 years, which seems crazy to me, was literally a dream. Some of you may know that it's one thing to have music as one of your interests and then one of your hobbies and then your profession and then have, a science background or something. But in my life, I had two roads in the music world. I had the choir road and the oboe road. And it was very strange how it all came about. When I went to college and majored in music, the choir director at my home church in a small town in North Georgia left. I was a painfully shy, totally insecure kid, which is no different at all from how I am right now. But back in those days, it seemed even more pronounced, shall we say. So when they asked me would you lead the choir? I couldn't stand up in front of people. I was nervous in my own skin. But I agreed to do it, and right away, it was a way of expressing myself that I didn't even know was in there, and it was a lot of fun. So I was a freshman in college and still living with my parents, and leading this choir in a small Methodist church, and they were brave and kind of let me experiment on them, and did a lot of learning, and later, I loved it so much the next few years that I eventually pursued that field and ended up teaching choral music in an elementary school where I grew up the year after I graduated with undergrad. And then that next year, I strangely lucked into a position as director of choral activities at Buford High School in North Atlanta, which was an amazing choral program. And I was as green as that shirt right there. And, the kids, I looked the same age as they did. But anyway, I fell in love with the job, but the oboe kept knocking on the door. So long story short, I left that job after 1 year, and because I thought I could retire from that job at 23 years old. I'm like, this is a job I'm going to retire from if I don't leave now. And couple that with the fact that I couldn't even get through a hymn at Easter that year because my endurance on the oboe was completely gone. So I left that job, that perfect job that some people would have, done anything for, and I pursued oboe. And so I thought I was closing that door, and the only reason the door reopened, fast forward to I went to Boston and studied music in music school and freelance for 3 years, took 1 million auditions, won the principal oboe job in the Alabama Symphony. Finally, I was working in Atlanta at the time and playing with the Atlanta Symphony part-time. But I won this position, and I thought the choir door was closed. And so when I interviewed for the job, at the request of a dear friend of mine who believed in me and realized that I could do the two positions at the same time. You guys took a little bit of a chance on me because my resume looked very strange because it's all the things that I had done choral-wise had been like 10 years earlier. So, so you roll the dice if you believe in things like that. And I ended up here, and to say it's changed my life just sounds super corny, but it's changed my life because the people that I've met here are different, and I don't want to say better, but you live the life that you say that you do, and you're sincere and you're honest, and I've learned so much from all of you that I've gotten to know, and the choir has allowed me to relearn all those skills and hopefully learn a few more. They've inspired me to go to Westminster Choir College and take 3 courses and try to figure out how to make them better. And it's just been this journey that has been, a group effort the whole time. I was silly when I thought I was going to come here and teach these people how to sing. Well, what I learned was that I was the one learning the whole time, which Andy Duxbury, who's on his way to London right now, kind of said all along. He was like, you're learning a lot from us. And I was deeply offended for like 2 seconds. And then I'm like, well, okay. And then I learned that Andy is spot on about most things and has his own way of saying the truth, which is the truth. But so what was the question again? How do I combine those 2 careers? I don't even think about it is the very short answer, because this is what I look forward to. And my symphony job was hard to get. It's very competitive, and we all know the stories of all that. But I'm very thankful for it, and it's an honor to be in the symphony. But this is what I look forward to, and the past 10 years have been amazing. I'll do shorter answers from here on out.
Well, I think I can speak for all of us that we're very glad you've shared the last 10 years with us, and we have learned much, although I'm a newbie to the choir, so I need to acknowledge that. Several of us would like to know how you select anthems for the choir to sing. What goes into that process?
Well, that is very interesting. Most of us go to music school and learn, strictly sacred music from, Bach's music and all the other great composers. And coming here was very educational for me, because it allowed me to learn about music that I didn't know as well. There's secular music and there's sacred music, but there's a million things in between. And it's those million things that we often don't learn in music school. So what we do every month is that Reverend Julie has a spreadsheet where she has the sermon topics and the general themes for the service. And we try to make things fit as cohesively as possible. Troy and I go on a beach trip every summer, and what I do on that beach trip is plan choral music, because I'm not very much of a beach person, and we have 2 dogs that go with us. So we stay in a very nice condo overlooking the water and watch Troy and the sharks. But I stay in the room and plan choral music and think about how glad I am that I'm not in there with all those sharks. So I know they're there. And this year, there's proof there's more shark attacks. I'm just saying, that's another whole sermon, but right, we're leaving next week, and Troy's very attractive, shall we say. I'm kind of worried about him, but anyway, I plan the music, so I have a million anthems I want to do. I come home with all this stuff, and so Reverend, then I see the sermon topics, and I'm trying to make these things work, and they generally do, but it usually ends up that there are many pieces that I'm not able to do just because they don't fit a particular year. So they'll stay in my folder, and maybe they'll work the next year. But this is a church, and Reverend Julie is a minister who is amazing, and sometimes things happen on Thursday that you have to preach about on Sunday. And so there's flexibility in a church like this. I mean, you've seen it a million times. The topic has to be flexible. So we do our best is the short answer to that. But sometimes it fits in the overall theme, but sometimes something happens at the end of a week, and she's writing a sermon, I don't even know how, up to the last second sometimes. But we plan it in advance, so there's a whole lot of planning and a whole lot of good intentions involved, but sometimes it's taught me to be flexible, and all of us that are on the staff to be flexible and work together, and I think we do a pretty good job, so.
Are there pieces of music that you worked on with the choir that have been particularly meaningful to you?
So anybody that knows me is horrified that I don't have a script right now, because if there's anything I've learned from the church is that I can maybe not have a script, even though when I've done the homily, I've read every word and tried to make it sound like I wasn't reading, but this is like a leap of faith, as they say. But Diane was kind enough to provide me with these questions ahead of time. So even though I didn't write anything down, I did have at least some time to think about what I might say. But the thing, and I'm going to shock the choir right now, but the thing that stands out in my mind, besides us surviving a pandemic together, getting through online choir, which, you know, spoiler alert, there's no such thing. It's just an attempt at trying to survive, which is, I think, you know, we did a pretty good job with that too, and not to mention the fact that I am technologically impaired, and Erica Howard helped me along and helped me learn enough about technology, you know, to do some of these virtual choir things. But the piece that I'm going to shock them about, that's no shock to anything I've said so far, but we did a piece a few years ago called Into the Light, right? See, all that therapy just gone. We did a piece with First Methodist Church called Into the Light. It was celebrating the victims, honoring the victims of gun violence, and it was on All Saints Sunday. Patrick Evans is the choir director at First Methodist Church. We have a lot of similarities with the beliefs and values that we have with a few churches in town, and that's one of them. And Patrick said, would you like to join together? This was literally the question. How about we get our choirs together and do a program? And I was like, awesome. And then the next day, so I committed and said yes, and the next day he said, well, I already have the piece we're going to do. And it's a piece called, by Jake Runestad, called Into the Light. I didn't even know the composer at the time, but suffice it to say, any professional choir that would be given that piece would have major work to be done. UAB choir would spend months on it. Montevallo, all these other, Samford, all these amazing choirs we have in town and beyond. This was a hard piece. There were tears shed. There was weeping and gnashing of teeth, or whatever the saying is, but they learned the piece. And I dare say when we got our choirs together, they were leading the piece. And First Methodist has paid singers there. They have people that, you know, ringers, if you will. And, you know, they're paid to be there. These are paid professionals. And so that has to stand out. But the pieces, other pieces that would stand out would be some of the pieces like we're doing today, as a matter of fact. And Ola Yelo was one of our favorite composers. Morton Lauerd's son, we've done a lot of his music, and he's a still currently living choral composer. And we can't go without mentioning Elizabeth Alexander, who's turned out to be an actual personal friend and a big fan of our choir and her music. We do it often, but it's so different. The pieces are so different from each other. You might not hear her as having a certain style. It's very, very varied. So those are the standouts.
So most of the people in our choir are not vocally trained, and there are some that have quite unspectacular voices like me. Okay? How do you blend us into the whole that you've been hearing today? Because it's much more than the sum of the parts. I'd like to hear about that process.
I'll keep this one short because it's literally the joy of my existence is to do just what she said. And when I feel like, you know, choral music is such a sensitive thing, which makes leaving a place like this at a time when the choir is at the top of its game seem ridiculous to some people. And, you know, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and, you know, I will have kicked myself all night long, but it's just there are so many factors involved, but it's actually very simple. The pandemic happened. I bought a business, an online oboe reed making business. It blossomed, and that sounds like a good thing, and it is. But this past year, I was doing everything at the same time, and I was loving all of those things, and I realized that I'm just not able to do those things. So, but I tell you that to say that leaving here is the most difficult decision I've ever made in my life, because combining people that are of varying ability levels and making them do one thing at the same time it's really the joy of my existence. We have people that think they don't read music. They refer to themselves as, oh, I don't read music, but they do more than they think. And then we have professional singers up here, people that are highly trained, and we have everybody in between. But when we sing a piece of music, we're doing the same thing. It doesn't matter about the ability level. We're achieving one thing and working towards that one thing and vibrating with the person standing beside you, literally resonating with them. It's kind of a big deal. And being able to be in charge of that and having a group that has trusted me and let me do what I know how to do without any, well, not much back talk, not much, a little bit, but you know, in all seriousness, 100% cooperation and working together, and it's really been the joy of my life.
Are there ways that this experience has changed you?
I think I've already said that part, so I'm not going to elaborate. But yeah, I'm not going to walk out the door the same. I never have. So it's made me believe in myself, and it's made me just believe in the good part of humanity. When I was in high school, my choral teacher tried to get me to sing in the choir, and it was too vulnerable for me just to be born with an instrument that I couldn't hide behind, you know, and make a sound. And then she contacted me years later, and she's like, so did I plant this seed, or were you just being rude to me, or is this a personal thing, but anyway, I couldn't do it, but you know, all these years, but mostly the past 10 years have given me the confidence to stand up here and talk to you, for one thing, and to share and believe in the fact that we can all work together, and we can be in this room, and we can make the world a better place. And you can do it tomorrow, and you can do it next Sunday, and you can do it every Sunday I'm not here with the new person, with an open mind, because they'll come in with different ideas, just like I followed Gary Packwood. That's not an easy job, and if I knew what I knew about Gary now, it would have been an even more difficult job, because I somehow didn't know Gary at the time. He's amazing. So the next person's going to be amazing too, because everyone is making sure of that. But the changed life goes without saying, and I appreciate that. Appreciate everything that you all have meant to me and will continue to mean, I hope.
I want to try to speak for those of us in the choir and just say thank you so much for creating a place where we can all share our talents and our passions. And I mean, I'm someone where you have encouraged me and allowed me to start to sing again after many decades of not. And that support has been really meaningful. So we're making a transition today. There will be a next chapter, but we all can at this time celebrate and maybe be a little sad, okay? But it has been a wonderful experience to have you as part of us, Jim.
Good morning. It's me again. I'm Kate Etheridge. I am a member of the choir and a member of the music committee. Our church is supported by those who call our church home and by those who support the efforts of our church in our to change the world for the better. Sorry. If this is your first time with us, please pass the plate. We are just glad you are here. If you wish to join our church this morning, come up and sign the book during the offertory. We share our cash plate every Sunday with organizations whose work reflect UU values to care for marginalized persons, advocate for real and systemic change, defend our environment, and promote justice and equity for all. Today's Share the Plate will be with the Greater Birmingham Ministries, which was founded in 1969 in response to urgent human and justice needs in the Greater Birmingham area. Greater Birmingham Ministries is a multi-faith, multi-racial organization that provides emergency services for people in need and engages the poor and the non-poor in systemic change efforts to build a strong, supportive, engaged community and pursue a more just society for all people. We appreciate your donations either by placing them in the plate or by mailing your donation to the church or by using PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. More information is found in the order of service in the lower right corner. Thank you for your generous support of our church and our Share the Plate recipient. May we give in love and hope.
The next piece that we want to do is entitled "Oh Love." "Oh Love" was composed by Elaine Hagenberg. The piece was inspired, she's a contemporary composer who lives in Des Moines, Iowa. Yes, Iowa, it's my home state. The piece was inspired by a poem written by George Matheson, who was a Scottish minister, and he wrote this in 1882. At age 19, Matheson lost his sight, and his fiancée then called off the engagement, leaving him brokenhearted. On the eve of his sister's wedding, Matheson acknowledged his deep heartache by writing a poem that begins, "Oh love that will not let me go." Composer Elaine Hagenberg portrayed Matheson's faith and hope for a brighter future through ascending melodies and resolving dissonances. He writes, "I cannot close my heart to thee. I trace the rainbow through the rain and feel the promise is not vain, that morn shall tearless be." Acceptance of what he could not change led him to opine, "I give thee back the life I owe." "Oh Love" was inspired by romantic love, but I think its message is broader. We each have people and identities that are deeply important to us. We are profoundly connected to these and thereby vulnerable to being wounded and feeling devastated. Matheson's poem challenges us to move through these hurts also. This piece is a joy to sing. We're pleased to share it with you.
I planned that. I just needed to let that one breathe for a second. Our closing hymn is 1064 in the teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
As flame is to spirit, so spirit is to breath, and breath to song. Though we extinguish the flame in this sanctuary, may we tend it in our hearts until we meet again.
Well, our last piece is a composition by the composer, the contemporary master composer that Jim mentioned, Morton Lawrenson. And he's using James Agee's poem, Sure on This Shining Night. For the choir, there's a bittersweet irony here. You may have heard the expression, the first shall be last. Well, you see, the anthem was the first piece of music Jim presented to the choir during his audition 10 years ago. And it remains a favorite of ours, and of course his especially. And Jim remains a favorite of ours as well. He's taught us a lot in spite of the humility that he just brought to his comments earlier. Great choral music is a synthesis of words and sounds that cannot really adequately be described verbally. It must just be absorbed. For the cosmos is speaking to us. We only need to listen. And as Agee says in this poem, I weep for wonder, wandering far alone of shadows on the stars.
gifts to the congregation and sharing all that you have with us. And I could definitely feel it in Chip's notes. I don't know if the rest of you could this morning, that he was giving us it all for today. So if we could just honor Chip for a moment and honoring his leave taking with us, we're going to miss you so much. But I just want to honor this space. Both of these folks are leaving us, in the best of wishes. We want them to succeed in all their endeavors. Chip, for those of you that don't know, is moving to Virginia, and so we hope the best for them. And as part of that, one of our UU professional guidelines is that we honor the lead taking, right? We want Jim and Chip to succeed in their endeavors. And we also want to succeed in integrating our new choir director and accompanist into our community. And so because of that, we request a distance glove, after all the celebrations, so that they can fully adjust where they are, and then of course we welcome them back at that point after all that. But that's just part of the normal leave taking that all of our staff do at UUCB. And around our denomination. That is a very typical thing, so it's not a punishment. It is actually a blessing for them so that they can focus on the next chapter of their lives. We can focus on the next chapter of our congregational life. And then, of course, we can make all that happen again. So for those of you who will be coming back to church next week, we are starting the audition for the accompanist next week. So if you're at church this summer, you're going to be a part of helping me pick our next accompanist. So please come and be prepared to listen to some different folks who will share their talents with us. And the choir is going to help me as we figure out who the next choir director will be. So I appreciate your help in all of that process. It's going to be very important to do. So at this time, I'm going to ask Jim and Chip to join me in the receiving